All right. What? I feel so bad. I keep forgetting your new last name.
Kowalski.
Kowalski.
Yeah.
As in the sloth. No. What?
Penguin. Madagascar.
Dang it. I was thinking about the Ice Age
like,
dude. What's his name?
I don't remember.
Sid?
Sid? Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sid
Not
the
even
Sloth.
close to Kowalski. I actually knew another Kowalski in college.
Really?
I doubt Zach is related to her.
A lot of them.
I
guess it's just like a popular Polish name.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna make sure we're gonna put the new Spirit and Lamb sticker.
Oh, love.
Front and center. Okay, Kowalski, and you guys got married.
We got married in April.
And you
at the end of April.
Nice. Where did you guys get married?
We got married at Sacred Heart.
Nice.
In the little private chapel.
Wait, they have a Sacred Heart as a private chapel?
Yeah, it's
just on the campus?
Yes, so it's in the rectory, and it's pretty much a big closet.
Nice.
It was like
intimate.
Literally fit me, Zach, Father O'Sullivan, and then my maid of honor and his dad. And it probably could have fit like 2 or 3 more people in it, but that was all that really fit in there.
How was getting married by Father O'Sullivan?
It was
He
amazing.
is such... I haven't gone to mass
I love him.
in forever, but he's so funny.
He's
such a character.
Hilarious. We were getting pictures afterwards in like the garden in the rectory. He goes, "All right, now it's time to take a picture with the old dog." I was like, "Okay." And he reminds me a lot of my grandpa too, so it was really nice to like have him be able to do everything.
Was he part of your guys' marriage prep too, or was so fast that you... Okay. It was always intended to be with him.
Kind of. So we did our marriage prep counseling, and like you do like a compatibility test. So we did all of that with Father Al. They do it to like make sure you're actually ready to get married to each other. So like if you're above a certain percentage, then like you're good to go. You don't really have to meet with the priest after that, just like unless you want to discuss things. But if you get below a certain percentage and you guys didn't really match up on certain topics of marriage, like finances, kids, whatever.
So it's more practical.
Then it, like, the priest would set you up for more meetings so you guys can kind of discuss and kind of work those issues out before you get married.
Okay, so this is total ignorance because I've never been married.
Yes.
Is it a set 6-month period or you... It's fluid.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like 6 months to a year because you also do a retreat, which is usually a weekend-long retreat that you do.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I wouldn't know. Because we ended up having to do one that was like just a day class and you show up at 8 a.m. and you don't really leave till like 5 or 6 p.m.
Wow.
And they go over different topics, like finances, family life, like family planning. Kind of one of the ones that I really liked was they talk about the family you come from, the family your husband comes from, and like things that you love about your families and things that you want to leave behind in your family, which was like super cool. Because we both have very different family dynamics. So it was kind of nice to take a deeper dive onto those and kind of see how we're going to blend together. Right. Because we have very different...
I'm assuming, I don't know you guys super well, but I'm assuming yours is loud and his is quiet.
Kind of. Like, my family's super close. My parents have been married for, let's see, I'm going to be 26. I think they just had their 27th marriage anniversary. And I've been super close with my siblings my whole life.
Nice.
But he comes from a family of divorce.
Okay.
Only has 1 full sibling, has 2 half siblings. His family tree is kind of all jumbled. Dang. Thankfully, he's fairly close with his family now, but it wasn't always that way. So kind of learning to navigate, okay, this is like the stuff that he really didn't enjoy about how he grew up. and then like the stuff that I did enjoy and things I didn't enjoy, and how we're gonna kind of make things better for our family.
Yeah, that seems like such an important conversation.
Yeah.
Would you have had that conversation? I imagine you would have had that conversation with him before, even without the class?
We actually talked about a lot before we got married, which apparently, I guess, some people don't do that. Because when we were taking that compatibility test with Father Al, we got, I think it was like 95% compatible.
Woo!
Which apparently is like super high, compared to a lot of people. And I know we were like talking about it with Father Al, and he goes, it seems like you guys like kind of talked and worked through a lot of this already. And I was like, yeah, who wouldn't? He was like, you'd be surprised. Because I guess we've just always, since we've been together, had like this kind of agreement to be open, especially when you're planning a life with somebody.
Right.
You want to be open about like what your expectations are, what your past was like, and then how you can kind of like move forward.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, transition. How did that openness, obviously you had to really be open about your guys' relationship with God.
Yes.
And then, so how did both of your conversion stories sort of play into that?
Yeah. So
as your relationship blossomed?
It's kind of, from the start of our relationship is kind of when the start of our conversion began. Because I still remember to this day, one of our like first few dates, he was super into church history, and he was Baptist at the time. I was non-denominational. And we would have these like super theological, deep conversations, which sometimes I wouldn't even like understand what we were talking about. So I was like, yeah, okay. But a lot of the times he would talk about the Catholic Church. And there was one time I remember him talking about it, and he just had like such an admiration for certain theological things that the Catholic Church believed. I'm trying to remember. I think one of them was like being virtuous and stuff like that. And I was like, well, if you're talking so highly about the Catholic Church, why don't you just become Catholic? He was like, well, I don't know, like, that's just not right. Because we both came from a place where we were told the Catholic Church, like, wasn't true. And what they believed was not right, I guess.
Were there specific aspects of Catholicism that were not right?
Was it? I think growing up for me, I knew I was taught, or not really taught, but there was just like things that were told to me about the Catholic Church in a way, like, oh, you're praying to saints, or like Mary's position, like that, like all made it seem like the Catholic Church was like crazy. And like just the, how did you put it, like, I don't want to say like rigorous, but like I guess
authoritative, or
the uniformity in the Catholic Church, and how it's, I don't want to say strict, but there's like a line to follow. Whereas if you come from a non-denominational church, every church you go to is going to be completely different.
Right.
And you're not having like a strict set of what you're doing for a church service. So he started doing more research and kind of started going deeper and deeper, and was like, hey, this might actually not be bad.
Do you think it was an easier transition for him than you?
100%.
Because I don't know much about Protestant denominations, and it's on my list of many things to do to understand. But it seems like Baptist is, I don't know, a set doctrine or set beliefs as opposed to non-denominational?
It's definitely a little more strict than non-denominational, because I was a, oh my gosh, what's the word? Pentecostal, kind of leaning non-denominational. So we were more like free and not really uniformed, where Baptists have a little bit more strict rules.
Okay.
There's a lot more uniformity in it. So, and he had only been a Christian for, I want to say like 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
At this point.
What was he before?
He wasn't anything.
Grew up atheist or grew up
just
agnostic?
I think his parents...
Spiritual.
I think his dad was like Seventh-day Adventist at some point, and then Catholic at some point, and then like they kind of just weren't really anything.
Okay, yeah. But he was around.
Yeah. He like knew
melting pots.
Inklings of things.
Okay, yeah.
But never really believed until I think he was in his early 20s.
Okay.
And so then after that, so he was Baptist, and I think it was easier for him to believe because he was, like, I don't want to say newer Christian, but newer.
Yeah,
and
you're learning everything
grew up
at the
in the
same
church.
Time.
I was a pastor's kid. Church was my whole life.
I didn't know you were a pastor's kid.
Yeah. I was a pastor's kid, led worship for 15 years.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more of an attachment, I think, for me to let go of.
Yeah.
When converting, which I had a really hard time with doing. So he started asking questions, and we would talk, and he'd be like, hey, I learned this today. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'd like go and look it up myself. I was like, that can't be true. Like what I've been told my whole life can't be like a lie.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, okay, let me look this up. Oh, you're right. Dang. So I kind of started to do a little bit of research on my own. And really it was like starting to have like an internal crisis. I was oh God, what do I do now? I was like, clearly this is the way you're planning me, but am I willing to let go of everything that I have right now to do that? So when I went to visit him in Mississippi, when he was doing training down there, we went on this little excursion when we were exploring different historical sites in the town, and one of those happened to be an old Catholic church. Okay. Well, we show up, there's only one parking spot left, and we're like, what is going on a Saturday afternoon that this place is packed? And so we walk up, and there's a mass going on, and we're like, first of all, it's dead summer in Mississippi, so I'm in like shorts and a tank top, and I was like, I can't go in there. I was like, I'm not dressed properly. Like, there's mass going on. Yep. I don't know, like, I'm scared.
Everyone's gonna look at me.
Yeah. Like, I definitely don't belong here, so like, I'm so scared to walk in here. He goes, it's fine, you can take my jacket. Let's just go take a peek. And at this point, he's like a little bit further along in his exploring journey than me. He's a little more understanding. He had been listening to a lot of Father Mark Beard's homilies on YouTube.
I don't know who that is.
He's just a random priest from like somewhere in the South, because he's got a real Southern accent. But he loves him, and he like was listening to him every day and would send me his homilies every day, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's like still
it's
freaking
like my dad
out.
sending me videos. Yeah, I'm like, I'll for sure.
Yeah, I'll watch it
later.
Yeah, I'll do it when I have time later. Or not. And so he was like super excited to go in. And I'm like, no, we can't go in. And we end up going in, and they're taking communion. And it was just super interesting watching communion happen. And it kind of, in a way, like lit a spark of, okay, this is like kind of starting to make sense, God.
Wow.
Like, you wouldn't have me in this position in this time if like you weren't trying to tell me something. Because at this point, I'm like having like a super internal battle of, okay, do I start digging in more, or do I just keep ignoring everything and stay where I'm at? Yeah. So
Was there something about communion that... Because I would think that communion could lead someone to viewing us as a cult.
Right.
Sometimes I'm in Mass and like, this is so cultish.
Also, like, one of the things that was different in what I grew up learning was like, oh, communion's for everyone. Mm-hmm. And you can just take crackers and grape juice and anybody can just say a prayer and you can have communion. And I didn't really... And it was just a symbol, not actually the blood and body of Christ. It wasn't the Eucharist.
Yeah.
And so I think in that moment, seeing everybody's attitude toward communion was, I think, what kind of clicked for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, if this weren't real, they wouldn't be acting like this, if that makes sense. So I think that's where it really kind of was like, okay, God, I'll start listening.
Yeah. I remember hearing this story, and I can't remember who told me it or when, that a man came with his friend to Mass, and the friend was trying to, teach his other friend about Catholicism. And he wasn't super convinced, the friend. And then the parishioner, upon receiving the Eucharist dropped on the floor. I'm pretty sure this is the story. And then the parishioner, instantly, without thinking, dropped on all fours, took up Jesus and then licked the floor where the Eucharist had laid.
Really?
And then that was what converted his friend. He was like,
that's
okay,
crazy.
If he cares so much about this,
right.
then there's something this must be real.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because I'll be at Mass receiving communion or watching people and like, would I do that? Would I jump without any care about what it would look like socially or, without a care in the world, just only see God, jump down on all fours and lick the floor where he was at?
Right.
I don't know if I would. And that's
probably
something to consider. Like, okay, then do I truly believe that this is the body and blood?
Yeah.
Anyways, that reminded me, it's like I use that story as a gauge occasionally. Like, okay, where's my belief really lie?
Well, and I think also at that church specifically, they had a bunch of poster boards set up near the front that had a bunch of Eucharistic miracles on them. And so after Mass ended, we were like walking around and kind of just like looking at the building and looking at all this stuff. And I started reading and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if that happened, then how is it just a symbol? And like things just kind of started turning. And then I also, like, it's so random, but they had we have one at Sacred Heart where in the back of the church there's like a little spot where they just have like random books or like little cards. And there was a prayer card of marriage, and this is when Zach and I were like first starting to talk about getting married. Yeah. And it's still on my fridge to this day because I took it. I was like, oh, this is cute. I was like, let me start praying for this.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. But then after I got back from Mississippi, I really started kind of digging in more. I had downloaded the Hollow app. Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe this is like a good, because I feel like if you're in like that state of inquiry, YouTube and like the Hollow app and stuff like that are your best friend.
Yeah.
Father Mike Schmitz, Bishop Barron, those were my guys.
Yeah. They just break down things, complicated things.
So simply.
So well. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time following Bishop Barron, but I do like how succinct he can be, or I like how he's able to boil things down. Yeah,
because especially for somebody that needed it to be like broken down to the nitty gritty, I was like, these people are perfect.
Yeah.
So I started doing the rosary on the Hollow app.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? This is interesting. Let me just learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
And I started doing that every morning. And then on the Hollow app, it's like, what do you want to add to your routine? And then so I started doing like Father Mike Schmitz, his like homilies. You can do one a day. So I started doing those. And also did like the catechism in a year.
Okay. Dang.
Which I
Good
haven't
for
finished.
you.
I have not finished at all. I think I'm still on like maybe like the first or second part of it. But I started because I had so many questions and I kept hearing about this catechism.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, maybe all the answers are in here, which they
are.
And a lot of the things I had questions about were in there, especially within like the first few parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay. And things, like I said, things started just to click. And at this point, my internal crisis started really hitting hard because I'm also in this period of transitioning where I'm like, okay, I'm about to move to California away from everyone I know. I was like, I'm so scared to like leave all my friends. And there was also a part of me that was scared to make the conversion because, you know, I was like told all these not horrible things about the Catholic Church, but Protestants have their opinions on Catholics.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and vice versa.
Yeah. So it's like I was scared to like tell people that I was like even considering it because I didn't know how they would react, and I hate conflict.
Dude. Preach to the
I'm
choir.
like, if I can avoid it, I absolutely will. So I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I remember like crying on the phone with Zach one night because he was like, because he was pretty much all in at this point. And I was like, I don't know, like I get it, but at the same time, like if I stop going to church, I'll lose all my friends. And because like all my friends at the time, I literally had from going to church.
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, you're a pastor's kid.
Well, yeah. And I work with a bunch of old people, so I was like, there's no, like, I have no friends if I leave. And at that point, like, those friends were, like, family. And I grew up in, like, a church culture where when you leave a church, it's, like, considered crazy. Like, everybody wants to know why you left, what the drama is. Like, if you leave a church and start going to a different church, like, people might not talk to you again.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I think, is it different? Well, I'm wondering if within Protestant churches it seems different here. I mean, I imagine people...
I've actually been so surprised because you'll get people that, like, quote-unquote, church hop different Catholic churches.
Yeah.
Cause, like,
we're big on church hopping.
The same thing no matter what church you go to in Catholicism. Whereas if you're Protestant, if you start going to a different church, it's like, okay, well, what did this one do that was so bad that made you leave?
So it'd be some aspect of the teaching or the pastors.
Or, like, whatever happened, like, something made you leave.
Yeah.
But then everybody's, like, especially if you go to a small church like I did, like, everybody's so small and, like, it's a tight-knit group.
Yeah.
So when you leave, it's like, oh, we can't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Even if it's, like, not even for a bad thing. So it's a very weird culture, but it's definitely something that, like, I was terrified of happening.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I become Catholic, I won't have any friends. Granted, I was about to move across the country, so I was going to have friends anyway.
Still, that's a huge, I mean, among all the other life changes that you're experiencing, I mean, engagement, moving to California, and then you also add on religion, which is essential to our being.
Right. And I was like, and if I tell my parents are going to hate me. And, which they ended up not hating me, so it's fine.
Good.
But eventually I was like, okay, you know what? They have a daily mass. It's on a Thursday. That means I don't have to skip my, like, obligations and responsibilities at my normal church. I don't have to give anything up yet, so let me just go to that.
Yeah.
So I go, and of course, the priest starts talking, and it's talking about, like, transitions. And about how he moved to Virginia from Africa. And I'm like, and this is literally, like, 2 months before I moved to California, and I was like sitting in the back pew just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, all right, like, how many more signs do you have to give me, God, before I answer?
Yeah.
So I did a couple more weekly, like, daily masses, and then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm pulling the trigger.
Wow.
I was like, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. And so I, like, relinquished my role as a worship leader at my old church. Kind of only told a few people that I was leaving. Never showed up again.
Yeah.
And started going to Mass on Sundays at a local Catholic church. And I also was going through this period with Zach where I was moving out here and we weren't married yet. And we just really needed some advice, and we wanted to make sure, okay, so now we're like thinking about becoming Catholic. We want good Catholic advice. So I set up an appointment with the priest who I'd never met before.
Yeah.
And went in and started talking to him and was like, hey, like, this is what's going on. SOS. And he was like, all right, like, here's some stuff we're going to do. But one of those things I want you to do is join the OCIA. And I was like, oh, why? He was like, you have a lot of questions. And I could answer them all, but, like, we have
a program for that.
We have a program for that. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And so I start going, and all these questions that I had answered. And I was like, okay, I guess it is that easy. And I think the craziest thing to me was I was also super terrified that a lot of stuff that I knew about God and about Christianity was a lie. Like, I thought I was going to be told, like...
totally incompatible with Catholic teaching.
And I was scared that it was really going to take away from what I already knew. But instead, it actually ended up not really taking away anything, but just changing, like, a few things and then adding on more. And, like, I think one of those was, like, I grew up, especially, like, at a Pentecostal church, I grew up with, like, the gifts of the Spirit. It's, like, a big thing. And Zach grew up Baptist. Or not grew up, but he was Baptist. So he was like, nah, that's not a thing. Like, not really not a thing, but, like, they just don't really believe that it can be, like, really used today. And so I was like, oh, is this, like, not real? And then through OCIA, I really, like, learned, like, oh, like, this actually is true. Like, what I was taught about all this stuff is true. Like, I have the gift of speaking in tongues, but not the, what is it? Like, the corporate setting tongues, but it's called glossolalia, which is, like, your own personal spiritual language to God that you only really do in private, which I kind of had mixed feelings about anyway when I was coming in, because I came from a place where it was abused. Because, like, in a lot of these, like, big non-denominational churches, they start to, like, abuse the gifts of the Spirit kind of for show, which is why my husband was, like, so not really against it, but, like, had his aversions to it. And OCIA really helped me understand, okay, what I know is valid and, like, the gifts I have are valid, but it also helped my husband understand the gifts that, like, he can receive if, like, he wanted them. So it was really cool. And then we finished OCIA. I ended up having to go back to Virginia to get confirmed.
Why? Because you were baptized?
Well, so we were both already baptized, so we didn't have to do baptism again. But my sister's wedding happened to be the same day as Easter Vigil. So I had to miss our Easter Vigil and then just do because the confirmation that they do in Virginia, they do it on Pentecost instead of Easter Vigil.
Yeah.
For the, what are they? Which one's the catechumens or candidates? I can't remember which one I was. Whichever one's the one that already gets baptized. So, like, on Easter Vigil, the church I was going to in Virginia, they would, on Easter Vigil, baptize and confirm and do First Communion for everybody that wasn't already baptized.
Yeah.
But then on Pentecost is when they would do the confirmation and First Communion for those that were already baptized.
Got it.
So timing worked out perfectly. It was like I think it was right after Zach and I got married, but since it was like literally 2 weeks after we got married, Father Out was like, yeah, you're Catholic. This is a valid Catholic wedding. And I'm like, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So everything worked out.
Yeah.
But
who were the other people? How big was your OCIA class, and what kind of was the demographics? Were either people converting from Protestant to Catholic or from nothing to Catholic?
Let's see. So I started OCIA in Virginia and did it for like a month or so in Virginia and then came here. And in my class in Virginia, I think there was maybe 10 of us. And it was kind of a mixture of age ranges. Yeah. I think I was definitely the youngest. And I want to say the oldest, he looked like he was in his like 80s or 90s.
Wow,
which is crazy.
Good for him.
Yeah. And he, like, I think he was formerly Protestant or evangelical, I think. There were a couple people that were like converts, and then there were a couple people that were just like starting brand new.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. And then I think when I started going here, there was a mixture of converts and then a lot of people that I think kind of grew up in the Catholic Church but didn't really ever do the process or didn't really, they kind of just went through the motions, and then they were now as adults kind of doing it for real.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think here it was more people my age to like mid-50s. So, and I've heard a lot of things of like a lot of people my age starting to convert, especially like from Protestantism.
Interesting.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that is, what do you have a theory?
I think because of like all the information that's available, and like there's people like me that they start to realize they don't want to just rely on the faith of their parents anymore. They kind of want to do it themselves. Yeah. And they start digging in more and kind of start realizing more and more like what, I don't want to say like, how would I say it? Like the true churches.
Gotcha. Would you say that yours was an intellectual conversion?
I think so, for sure.
So I guess you already had the heart of it.
Yeah, I definitely already had the heart. It was more learning what was really true, I think. And like, it took the intellect to do that. Like, it took digging in deeper. It took more than just surface level, Jesus loves you. Like, you actually had to dig through especially as a convert, you have to dig through the weeds to try to figure out why you want to be Catholic instead of Protestant. Yeah. And I think one of the things that was crazy for me was when I was in OCIA, we would like go over Bible verses, and this is like, this is why we believe this. This is what's in the Bible. And I would read it, and I was like, why did I ever believe before that what I believed before was right and not this? Like reading about the Eucharist and the passage where he's doing communion and there's people that are like, you're crazy, and then they leave. Yeah. And then the ones who truly believe stayed. And then learning about like after he dies, like them still doing communion and them getting persecuted and murdered because people think they're cannibals for doing communion. And I'm like, how, with all that information, did we not believe before that, like, this, Jesus actually meant that this is his body and his blood, not just a symbol of his body and blood. And that was one thing that just, like, really hit deep.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, that's, like, I think that's what really got me. Because I think before I was not necessarily going through the motions, but I was, like, just taking it slow, kind of coasting into Catholicism. And then after that, I was like, all right, yeah, this is why.
Did you feel like the Eucharist was something you were missing before? Was it sort of a coming home, or like something just clicked?
I think,
or it was something new.
I think it was just something new, because I did come from a church where we took communion regularly, whereas like Zach, he came from a church that did it like maybe once a month, which was wild to me.
I really appreciate Protestant churches that value communion. Yeah,
because I took it, on Sundays we would take it like maybe once a month, but we had like a weekly church gathering on Thursdays where we would always take communion. And so I was always very thankful for that. So I think for Zach it was a little bit different because he wasn't taking communion as much.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, communion just had a deeper meaning as the Eucharist than just remembrance.
Yeah. So it was something you were already appreciated, already a part of, and then you got plus some.
Yes.
Something else when you.
And I remember in OCIA, one of my teachers kind of explained it as, like, when you're taking the Eucharist, you're consuming Christ. So then you literally have Christ within you. And it's not as easy to depart from him when you have him in you. And I was like, oh.
That's so comforting.
I was like, all right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I so need that.
I was like, yeah, who wouldn't want that? And I think it helps remind people that he is with you. Because it's so easy to forget sometimes.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
Were there aspects of Catholicism that still scared you or you had trouble with in converting? Like the strictness or, obviously the church scandals?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ugliness about the Catholic Church as well. I guess you could say any religion probably, but...
Ours is
front and center.
For the most part, everything made sense. There's still some things that I don't want to say I'm wary of, but I'm still learning about and trying to understand. Like Mary's role, I understand it to an extent, but I'm still kind of learning the appreciation for Mary. And like, I'll pray the rosary, but I still don't fully grasp the importance of it, and like praying to the saints sometimes, or not praying to the saints, but like for their intercession and everything. Some of that stuff still is taking a while to click for me, but I was like, in the grand scheme of things, if those are the only two things that I have that are issues, I was like, it's not that bad.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I think I still have sometimes, well, not a problem with those two things, with Mary and the saints, but I'll forget. Or I'll have I grew up Catholic, but I'll still kind of have a tweaked idea of like, well, why would I talk to a saint or ask for the saint's intercession? I don't know, just why would I do that?
Right.
Or Mary sometimes, like, okay, am I praying to her or am I asking for her intercession?
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'm like, okay, let's like rethink. Even just the idea of intercessory prayer, I, for some reason, really struggle with. Like you're praying, this is off topic. You're praying for someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pray to that saint for someone else, or I'll just pray to God for someone else. And I still have a hard time even thinking, like, why would I do that? I don't really get it.
Right.
So there's still some things, like you're saying, we can know intellectually something, but having it actually click for in our heart, I guess.
Yeah.
Takes some time, or it just takes like God's grace in a moment to like finally make it make sense.
Yeah, because I think I still do struggle with the fact that I'm not praying to them, and I'm just asking for intercession. But I think sometimes when I'm asking for intercession, it feels like I'm praying to them, so it's not comfortable yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like still just trying to ease into it.
Yeah. I always like thinking I'm asking like a teacher or a professor or a maternal or paternal figure for advice.
Right.
Like that's what I'm doing. And then I think then it clicks. That makes more sense. So of course I should reach out to someone who I see as much more knowledgeable in, I don't know, the virtue of humility or what's the word? There's a word I can't think of it. Anyways, so let's say I go to, I don't know, St. Francis. Like, okay, you were really good at this.
Right.
So I'll pray to you, with you, for this specific thing. But how was the telling your family?
Terrifying. So I was so scared, and for weeks
was your dad of the church the pastor of the church?
So he was for a while, but then I want to say like 6 months before they left and started attending a different church.
Okay.
So at this point, I was the only person. No, they just left. But at this point, I was the only person in my family still going to this church.
Okay.
But I was honestly so terrified. I was like, they're going to start asking questions I don't have answers to. And as somebody who doesn't like conflict, I don't like going into a conversation that I don't have answers to. Like, if I know I'm going to get questioned, I have to make sure I know the answers.
Yep.
And so I was like going to Mass for a few weeks, and my dad would be like, oh, how's church? And I was like, great. I was like, I'm not going to tell you. I was like, I'm too scared. He knew
that you were going to Catholic church, or he was just church in general?
Yeah. And and we had Life 360s, so he would check my location. He'd be like, why are you here? And I was like,
there's a coffee shop next door.
I was like, I just was hanging out with a friend. I was like terrified. But then eventually I was like, you know what? Let's just pull the plug. And I was like, so I'm starting to go to a Catholic church. And you know when your mom like just starts talking in that really sweet voice of like that's honestly terrifying. She's like, so why? I was like, well, and then I kind of explained it to them, and obviously like they had their concerns.
Yeah.
They were like, we'll support you, but we just want you to make sure like whatever you're doing that you like go into it slowly. Like you are really understanding like what you're going into.
Yeah.
And like my parents are very big on like the Holy Spirit. So like wherever I go, like that the Holy Spirit is there. And they trust my discernment to know like where I would be going.
Yeah.
Like would be that kind of situation. So
wow, what faith on their part.
Yeah. So I would still get a little bit of like aversion, I guess, from them if I like would mention it. And I remember one time like having a conversation, and my mom was like, well, don't they not believe in the resurrection of Jesus? And I was like, no. I was like, and like my mom had gone to a Catholic church like maybe a few times like when she grew up. So it was probably like very different than like what it is now.
Yeah.
Or not very different, but at least a little different. And I was like, no. And she goes, well, like, then why do they show Jesus on the cross? And I was like, and I had the answer. So I felt very proud. I was like, well, they want to remember his suffering because like that was the ultimate price he paid. And it's a lot more humbling for me to go and sit and see Jesus on the cross when I'm in Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I go to a church and I just see a fancy little cross on stage, that doesn't really do anything to remind me of the price that Jesus paid. Mm. Whereas I'm sitting here in Mass looking at an anguished Jesus on the cross. She goes, oh, okay. And I was like,
nice. Look at you with the answers.
I was like, yeah.
That is a really, honestly, I would not have known how to answer that question. So that is a really beautiful way to answer it.
Well, I had told that to her, I think it was like a Friday or Saturday night. And then that Sunday at my OCIA class, we talked about it. And I was like, that's exactly what I said. I was like, look at you, God. And then I think there was also a time... Oh, and then I was also like, yeah, but like literally in the creed that we say at Mass, it says his resurrection.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's a lot of things that like they thought were true about the Catholic Church that weren't true. That I kind of had to be like, oh no, like that's actually not right. Like this is, and they're like, oh okay, that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable that you're like there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, did you find it both ways? So I have discovered in conversation that I have a lot of misinformation about the Protestant churches too. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of them. So like, it's hard to keep track of every denomination, but I was just in a conversation with someone, it was fascinating, who he is very knowledgeable in all things theology. And he said that not all Protestant denominations actually believe it's only a symbol, that there is, that some do believe it truly is Jesus, but there's a different term for it. It's not transubstantiation. It's like God comes into the bread and wine as opposed to maybe.
So from what I understand, there is, so when I was back home in Virginia visiting my family, I went to one of my parents' Bible studies, and there was a guy who used to be a pastor who was talking about this. And he also used to be Lutheran.
Okay.
And they were talking about how I think it still is considered transubstantiation. It's just when that happens that they differ as to what. So like Catholics, I hope I can get this right.
Anything you
say.
Like
I'm being quizzed.
Well, if we say anything heretical, which we probably do every single podcast, it's totally fine.
It's okay, I'll go to confession for it. But Catholics believe that like it happens when the priest is like doing
his thing.
Yeah. Whereas
doing his very specific thing.
Right. And then I think Lutherans believe that when they actually consume it is when it happens. And then others just believe that it's a symbol.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like just a matter of when it becomes his body.
Yeah. Interesting. I definitely want to look more into that. And like I said, I want to know more about the denominations, but I have not found the time. So when you were in OCIA, you obviously you're learning that a lot of things in Catholicism are actually, you were told were false, like Catholics actually don't believe that or whatever.
Yeah.
Was it the same way? Maybe people in OCIA were like, well, Protestants believe this. And you're like, actually not.
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
So. I think it's more that I've witnessed is like a kind of the same thing that you get like with Protestants towards Catholics. You're like, oh, Protestants. Or like, ooh, Catholics. Just because there's that divide.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of misinformation. Granted, I haven't heard any misinformation about the Protestant church.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there still is that. I think that's why people have their opinions. Which I know, like, coming from the other side, like, people have their opinions because of misinformation.
Yeah.
And I think I've also learned that sometimes it just depends on what really works for you.
Right.
Because I think some people, it works better for them to be Protestant. Because they wouldn't fully understand Catholicism. And maybe Jesus just works better through them.
Yeah, or I think if you have an aversion to authority, the Catholic Church would be really hard for you.
Right.
Whereas I love authority.
Yeah.
So there, maybe it's God is, speaking. Well, Protestantism is still, this person is still communing with me. They're still close to my heart.
It's still,
but in a different way.
Yeah.
Then is it, do you then believe as a convert that the Catholic Church is the true way, is the truest way, is the easiest way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it definitely is the true way. Like, just because certain things like the Eucharist, like, to not believe in the Eucharist, to me, like, I couldn't be anything else now.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also a thing I struggled with when converting was everything that God did in my life before and God used me for before, was that like still valid?
Yeah.
And I was, because like sometimes you like hear like, oh, like God's not in those things like if you're Protestant. I heard that once and I was like, I personally wouldn't say so. God was very real in that moment in my life.
Yeah, that would be so hard if someone looked you in the face and was like, everything that, all the conversation with God that you've had prior were invalid.
Yeah, like that wasn't God. Okay. I think it definitely is like, I don't know. Like it was something that I had to learn to be like, okay, yes, God did work in those moments, but this is just where he has me now. Kind of thing. But the Catholicism definitely is what I believe to be like the true and the best way. It's not always the easiest, that's for sure.
Not the easiest.
But I think the easiest way would have been just staying ignorant and being in what I was, but it's just how God works.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I love, and to be fair, I mean, I grew up Catholic, so I never, well, two thoughts. One, when my mom grew up Protestant, and my grandma and grandpa are still very, very devout Christians, and when she decided to convert to Catholicism, when I heard that story growing up, was like, oh, yeah, like easy transition. I don't know, no big deal. And then at one point, I think I was having a conversation with my grandma, and she said something like, oh, when your mom told us she was going to convert to Catholicism, it was really hard for us. And when I heard that, I was like, why would it be hard for you? I never thought about how difficult it could be.
Especially if you grow up in a very, like, spiritual Christian family where, like, church was basically our life. Yeah. Like, we were going to church on Sundays, and especially, like, when my dad was pastoring at a previous church, we were going to church, like, 2 times on a Sunday. We were going to stuff throughout the week. I think when I, like, was doing all the leadership roles I had at my last church, I was going to church every day except Monday and Friday. And maybe a Saturday. So it was, like...
So it really is your family.
It was your life. It was your family.
Yeah.
And especially in your family, when you all are, like, kind of in this same realm of, okay, we all believe this. We all think this. And then you kind of start to stray from that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're kind of setting us off balance. We don't, like, it's really hard to kind of start to be your own person when you're in a family, especially as a kid too, because your parents like are protective and they want to make sure what you're doing, like you're doing what's best for you. And if they don't have all the information, then they're gonna be scared. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh, I had a thought in my mind and I lost it, and it was so good. Okay, so obviously within Catholicism, like you say, there's a lot of church hoppers. We're big on church hopping, particularly, I think, our generation.
Yes.
Do you think that is a flaw?
No. I admire it. Like, that's one thing that, like I said before, like, I admire it. Because you virtually get the same thing, if not the same thing, then you're getting just different like fonts of the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
But nothing really theologically is changing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You might get different worship. You might get a different language.
I know. I love that I can go abroad.
Yeah.
To international, and I don't have to know how to speak French, but
right.
I know exactly what's going
happening.
On.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Or like you have like different rites, like the Byzantine
I know.
rite.
Do they
which
teach
I have
that?
not been.
Do they teach that at OCIA?
No, they did not.
Okay, it's crazy. This is the soapbox that I will probably never get down off of, and it's so ridiculous. I think that the Roman Rite, obviously they want the Roman Rite OCIA will appropriately talk about what is within the Roman Rite, but at no point is there any delving into these are all the other rites of the Catholic Church. I feel like that's pretty important.
Yeah. Because those are like your different denominations of Catholicism.
Right, like how that, I think...
Which I was like, oh.
Catholicism means universal, and yet we're not taught how universal the Catholic Church is under the single papal authority. That's like...
Right.
How is it not... How are we not taught that in first grade?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll shut up because
it made sense. But I think it's cool that you genuinely get like virtually the same thing anywhere you go. And like I can go to a different church and people will be like, oh, I just started going there. Whereas like if you were to start church hopping in Protestant, they'd be like, oh, why haven't you found your church home yet? Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Or why'd you leave that one? Like, so there's not as much aversion when you're church hopping. But I think it's also cool because I love going to Sacred Heart and I love the homilies they give. But then I also love going to OLA because coming from a Protestant background and a worship leader, like I love being able to do like songs I know that I can sing normally and not operatic.
Right.
At a mass.
Yeah.
So it's been very nice.
So, obviously, we as Catholics can choose to make the church our family. You see people are super involved in their parish, volunteering their time. I mean, and I'm shocked when I go to OLA. There's one day I hadn't gone to OLA in a long time, and I think of myself as a church hopper.
Right.
I mean, I have volunteered at Our Lady of Assumption, so I do consider that my parish. But I'm like, I'm pretty nomadic. I'm a church hopper. And then I went to... OLA one Sunday, and like, oh my gosh, God was so good. Like 5 people walked up and said hi to me just randomly while I was praying, or I ran into all these people, and I walked away like, I guess this is my church family.
Right.
Like, I actually do know a lot of people here. And I didn't even realize how involved, I guess, I am in a facet of this community. It was wild. So... Do you think, so we have the ability to make it our family, but like you're saying, we also have the ability to not. You can church hop because it's all universal. Why do you think that is? Why is so my theory is that it's all about the Eucharist. I guess our services, Mass, tends to be more, we are there as a community, and our doctrine does promote the body of Christ, the community, as integral in communion, that we actually play an active role in transubstantiation and just the thing the priest does. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. It's all the priest, but we do play a role in that.
Right.
So there is this aspect of community among Catholicism, but it's not the same as church family, and I tend to think it's because while we play an active role, it's all centered on the Eucharist. So it's almost like we diminish. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like, I'm contradicting myself. Technically, I think it does, but it feels like we're not there for us.
I think because during Mass, I've noticed, compared to going to like a church service, and if you're Protestant, it's very sacred, and there's this kind of posture that we have in Mass that's very solemn and focused, whereas personally, like when I would go to church services, I would be scatterbrained, like looking around everywhere. You have people paying attention, but it's not as...
Timer. Just kidding. Finish your thought.
It's not as, like, I guess earnest.
Yeah.
It's not as reverent.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not really... I've honestly noticed that it can... And one thing I've appreciated about Mass is that it focuses on the Eucharist and it focuses on Jesus. Whereas a lot of times at church services and in Protestantism, it focuses on you. Mm-hmm. And, like, what God's done for you, but, like, how can it make you better? Which is, like, great and everything.
Oh, interesting.
But there's not a real main focus of Jesus, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Maybe this is related, maybe not. That I tend to think I love praise and worship music now. I used to hate it. I love it. And when I'm singing praise and worship music, I tend to think of I'm bringing God down to my level, and we're communing as in friendship. Or it can still be like the Lord is my shepherd or my king, but he's beside me in my plane. But when I listen to Gregorian chant, when I listen to hymns, traditional Catholic music, we are ascending to, and especially around the altar, we are ascending to the gates of heaven. And we're almost standing outside the gates of heaven saying, like, we're here for you. Can we be with you?
Girl, that's like... That has been my Roman Empire for, like, months, is, like, the difference in praise and worship.
Yeah, it's so... And I love both.
And even coming from somebody that, like, worship is my life. Mm-hmm. I love worship music, but recently I have taken a notice that there is praise music and there is worship music.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize the difference. Because... I used to think praise and worship meant praise is your fast songs and worship is your slow songs. And then I, like, really started to think about it. And, like, I was reading my Bible one day and I was like, oh, like, praise music is I'm praising God for, like, doing this in my life. Or, like, I'm thankful that he did this. Or God helped me do this. Whereas worship is I'm worshiping God for who he is. Like, I'm admiring God for who he is. And there's a difference in those songs. Yeah. And I think it's important that you have both, but you really need to have that worship music. It can't just be, we can't be singing songs that are all about us. We have to be singing songs that we're worshiping God. Yeah. Yeah. That's just my 2 cents.
I love that. I feel like that's a good ending. I love music so much. I want to dive into that more, but can you, first off, thank you
of course
for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And we should start with a prayer, but do you mind closing us with a prayer?
God. Yeah.
Take it away, Jordy.
Lord, we just thank you for this night, that we were able to come together to talk about you and share just the goodness that you have given to us, that is your church and your truth. And Lord, we just pray that this story helps others to understand more about being Catholic, and helps those that are teetering on the edge to just take the dive and go for it, and let go of what they need to let go of to do that. And we just thank you and we praise you. And in your precious name, amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
You did it.